even like halfway through, I was like, oh man, I've not done anything. So it's like crazy to then in like the sort of second half of it actually manage to like almost just go on a sending spree, I guess. But yeah, it was amazing.
Hey Will, good to see you on screen and chat all things recent trip to Spain and everything. You've kind of just had an absolute beast of a trip. 9B plus first ascent, 9B first ascent, 9A plus, 3 9As, a font 8C, and then 5 font 8B to 8B plus, all in a single extended trip over in Spain. That is literally, I mean, and I'm pretty sure in saying this is the best British climbing performance I've ever seen, witnessed, experienced. So great job, really good.
Thank you.
You must be
Yeah.
psyched.
Yeah, I was over the moon. It's actually really, what's kind of funny about it is like from the beginning of the trip, the weather wasn't the best. It didn't really do that much, and then there was a like confinement, and then like lots of snow, and everything got wet for ages. So like even like halfway through, I was like, oh man, I've not done anything. So it's like crazy to then in like the sort of second half of it actually manage to like almost just go on a sending spree, I guess. But yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. It's been kind of weird, this whole thing with, especially with the news coming out this week and everything like that, because we talk on a regular basis and I know about what's been happening and everything, and I couldn't really say anything, and it was all kind of like kept under wraps and everything like that. And I'm so psyched for you because, we've known and worked together for a good long amount of time. So most of the time when you send me messages, half the time I'm like, oh, that feels as good as I did it, because I'm just like psyched for Will doing it. And I had to fully keep it on the down low. And like I told a few people in the Lattice office, like, oh, you're not going to believe what Will just did this week. But everyone's just being really quiet about it. So has it been tricky kind of doing that whole kind of pro climber thing of only releasing the news, when you can say it? How's that been for you? Because is it a new thing?
It's been, I mean, it's kind of a new thing, but it's been absolutely fine, to be honest. Like, I don't, it may not come across this way, I suppose, but I don't always feel like, I need to be like shouting, like, oh, look at this. So, like, it was kind of nice to almost take a step back from that and just focus on, on my goals, on my like training and my projects, and just complete focus on that, and then not worry about, telling people or anything on the other side, and just dealing with that later. So I thought it was actually like a really nice way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a nicer way as well, is when you start to be able to, operate right at the top end, is if you can split out some of that part of your kind of professional life and go, I don't want that on my plate. I don't want to have to think about having to post on social media or manage this. I can just get on with being a really good climber. And I think that's slowly happening, isn't it, in the professional climbing community, especially with, the competition performers and people who are, aiming for Olympics, etc.
Yeah, I think so. Just quickly, can you hear the Hoover in the background?
No.
Sorry, oh, is it okay? Apparently it's okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is that your mum?
That's my mum there, yeah.
It's not me that's hoovering. No, I was just.
No, it's my dad that was hoovering.
Oh, was it? Brilliant.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think climbing in general has kind of been like changing how it's, portrayed and stuff, and in a super positive way. The fact that mainstream media taking interest and stuff, I think it's super cool, and I think like climbers have adapted quite well to it.
Do you think that over the last, especially like the last year or two, I feel like you've got a lot more professional and focused about your approach, and splitting those things out? Do you think that's given you another edge again to go, you know what, I'm not going to have some of these distractions on the outside, so now I'm going to crank out the next grade and the next level of focus? Do you think that's been important?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that was like mostly just from the Olympics, like all the focus on that and working, like when we were like chatting about the best way to train and how we're gonna approach all these different comps. It was just like we have to be so focused for individual things that you can't have like all these random things coming up on the side. So if it was like a time like, all right, in this month, this is like, you know, the make or break month and training wise, it was like, right, everything's just focused. And for me, that's like super important. Like for this trip, like being focused the whole time. Obviously, I got like these, like I was able to get some crazy routes out there. But I had my first board session yesterday since being back, and you know, just absolutely destroying all my old problems. It's like it's when you have these solid training blocks where you're so focused, it's amazing the difference it makes.
Yeah, yeah. You also see that as well with really, really well trained athletes, is they don't do the thing where they go away on trips abroad, go and try hard stuff, and then come back and they feel so weak, and you know, just don't feel very good when they come back to plastic and indoors. But I think someone who's really done it for a, you know, a good amount of years with good training depth will still come back and go, you know what, I feel pretty good and pretty on form.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends how you treat the trip as well. Like if you're there, I suppose, to send like one route or something, you're focusing about that and you're taking like, you know, 2 free rest days just again in between each like attempt. I think it's very hard to keep form. But if you're out like more in the sort of trip that I was on, where you know you're climbing 4 or 5 days on in a row, you're doing fingerboard sessions, I think it's a lot easier to like maintain, or like as I was saying, feeling coming back even stronger.
Yeah. What kind of balance did you do in terms of like hard days versus easy days versus mid-level days whilst you're on the trip, or you just do it as you felt was right?
As I felt was right for a lot of it. So like I sent Estado was on my second day on, I believe, and then the next
That's the night,
day,
isn't it?
yeah, that's the like 30-meter long one in Sierrana. And then the next day I went and I sent First Lay in Margalef, which is the 9A plus. And that's just because I was feeling okay, and I was like, oh, okay, I've done like a longer day. I was like, you know what, next day I'll just go and get on something more powerful again. And the day after I did, I think it was, I'm not actually sure what this boulder really is. It's a new one, I think an 8A plus. But I literally just went and did that. So it was like a super short day. Whereas some of the days, you know, it'd be super long, like spending like 4 or 5 hours at the Capella sector trying different things. So it changed a lot over the trip, but basically just, you know, going out and trying really hard on a lot of hard things.
Yeah. And do you typically go out and have days out where you kind of get to the, you know, the last hour or two where you're like, I am just fully pooped. You know, I'm done. Or do you always tend to hold it back a little bit fresh when you're at the crag?
So again, mix. Like if I'm, you know, if I'm trying a route and I'm, oh, you know what, this, like I'm sure if I'm fresh, I could send this the next day or something. But oh, you know what, maybe I'll call it quits. But I had like this trip a lot of days where I was just going and going, just full out. You know, finishing the day with tape on the majority of my fingers and just absolutely beaten up.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you, when you were doing King Capella, did you? Because it's like obviously, you know, a really intense route and really hard bouldery sections where you have to be quite careful in terms of the projecting process of that, of holding the
Yes,
pressure back, because you've got to be right on edge of your form, haven't you?
yeah. So that one was the only route that really I had to do a bit more of the like old school projecting sort of method to, I suppose. I like all the working days, the starts, probably the first 6, 7 odd days. You know, I wasn't being so careful. I was giving it lots of attempts, working on the individual boulders multiple times. You know, like the first couple of days when I was working on the boulder at the start, I was like bringing the boulder mats to the crag because it wasn't worth trying on a rope, and then just having like 3 hour sessions trying to work the vita. But then coming to send it, I had to do day on, day off for the last like 2 days, I think, to be able to give it like good enough attempts, because going from the start, when you're not getting each of the holds quite perfectly, they just cut into your skin super bad. The root's really sharp, so that like I had to be a lot more careful for that at the end of it. But still, through the start, I was trying it a lot.
Yeah, it's funny when you were sending me those messages when you first start like trying that project and breaking it down. I remember reading, thinking, "Oh, I can tell he's really psyched on this one. I've got a funny feeling like you're going to go all the way through to the end of the process," because it's a really difficult balance when you're trying first ascent projects. When you're like that sweet spot between it's too hard and I would take, you know, 2 years to do this, versus, oh, actually it'll only take me 3 sessions and it kind of didn't give me enough to get my teeth into. But obviously you found the sweet spot on this one.
Yeah, I think I got super lucky. I mean, what's interesting is like the first time I tried it was like right near the beginning of the trip, and I like went up it and I checked out the holds and everything. And I was like, it kind of seems possible, but I was like, it's maybe just way too hard. So I actually went and tried a project to the right, which looked a lot more doable, and I put like some days into that before realizing that that one was the one that didn't go, and this was the one that would go. And then coming back to it, and then spending all the sessions trying to get the move for the start, and yeah, it was really odd actually, like, but it worked out perfectly limit wise, which was really cool.
Yeah. And at the same sort of time, did you go and have a few sessions on Perfecto Mundo, kind of like to give you a bit of a balance in terms of, oh, that's what it feels like the moves on Perfecto. This is what it feels like on mine. How's the balance between those?
Yeah, I think actually I tried Perfecto before. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the time scale exactly, but because I think it was like February, like like mid on, like end of March. I think on King Capea. I think it was earlier on that I tried Perfecto, and I only tried Perfecto on one day. I went up and just basically checked out all the moves, all the holds, and got like a really good idea of how it would feel. And it was like, within a couple goes, I reckon I could get up to the crux from the floor. But the crux move being a mono move, I didn't feel so strong on. I felt like I would need to train really specifically to be able to do that, especially from the floor.
Yeah.
So, and then from there again, it went back to like, I reckon I could do like, as soon as I could do that move, I'd be able to do the like 2 overlapping halves pretty fast.
Yeah.
But it's that sort of a steep route. It doesn't suit me very well. So
a bit longer as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot longer. It was interesting to try and compare, but again, they're just so different. So I really want to go and try Adam Ondra's Vasil 9B plus in the Czech Republic, because it's supposedly like a 8 meters and then like a one move. I think it's supposed to be like a one really hard move, and I feel like that would translate a lot better. So that would be an interesting one to try.
Yeah. And as well with Adam is that he's got so much kind of depth of doing these kind of grades as well. They're going to be just about right and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in terms of like how you balanced it out with the bouldering that you did in the trip, you obviously climbed some really hard boulders as well. And I'm right in saying that some of those boulders had recently been established by Dave Graham, because I know you were climbing with him, but were they his problems?
So yeah, like Dave lives out in Cornadea, just at Sierrana, so he was about at the crags a lot, which was cool. He developed that crag where the hard boulders are in Sierrana, but like he cleaned it all up, like got rid of bushes at the start or whatever, and like I think a lot of work in, because even trying to walk to it, I got lost the first time. Like it took me like I was walking for hours, I didn't find it. I had to like go back and get directions. He first ascended, I think like 2 of the boulders that I did, I think were his. He first ascended 1 or 2 others as well there. But Bon, the 8B plus, is his like famous first ascent there, which he actually did in 2003. So it was quite a long time ago he like developed it, which is what's crazy. But then I think last year, with this sort of confinement stuff, the local climber Beto, he first ascended all the other links at the
Roccasolano.
Yeah.
Oh, he's such a beast.
Yeah. So he first ascended all the other links at the crag. So the by Po, by Chi, by Karata, I think it's called. So like the other 8B plus and 8B plus stroke C. So it was like Dave like established the crag, and then Beto added a bunch last year as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's well good. And in talking of monos, how is your monoing now after an extended trip out in Spain and pulling
on? I was mostly in Sierrana, so it's probably not much better, to be honest. I was just pulling on crimps. I mean, what I learned is I'm really bad at deep pockets. So if it's this is like sort of like the revelation that I had. I was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh, if the pocket's like, not necessarily bad, but kind of goes in quite far, but isn't a jug, I'm like, I really struggle to hold them. Whereas if it's like, really small but has an edge, I can like crimp up on 2 fingers or something, and I can. And because I was trying some routes, and I was like getting through the hard bits okay, and then getting to the bits where most people think it's easier, and then not being able to do moves, and I'm like, what's going on? And so I think my pocket strength got a lot better, but just from all the crimping. So I'm good at like the small crimpy ones, but all the big ones I still need to put a lot of work into.
Yeah. I mean, there are some differences with tendon attachment points and muscle activation, depending on sort of grip positions and how deep you are on holds as well, versus single joint versus big flat, like 3-joint edges and things like that. So it could even just be as basically that you spent so much time pulling on smaller holds and, single joint, half joint holds that you're, extra well adapted to that. And you could see that as well. I mean, I'm great on a jug, Will,
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I was starting to think, I was like, maybe I need to like get on some bigger holds. Maybe that would help.
You need to get on some jugs with a massive waist vest.
Yeah. Be hard work, I reckon.
Yeah, you can give me a piggyback and just climb me around the wall with my training next, like some circuits.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like, I do so much, like so many, like 10 minutes on like easier terrain and stuff. And I was like, I feel like I should be good at that stuff, but like trying Estado, like being a 30-meter route, just it blew my mind. Like within 2 goes, I think I'd stuck the crux of it, which is a boulder about halfway, and I just fell off almost every single move afterwards. Like to every go, I'd get like a move higher, just trying to build the endurance on the route. It was ridiculous. Whereas most people send the crux, like when they get through the crux, they go to the top.
Yeah.
And it's just like, to me, it was like one of the hardest routes I did, just because it's so long.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when we were out in Sant'Elia and trying cachaça and watching you versus Piotr from on that route, and like you just be like, you're like so fast, and we were even like working out how you could go faster and like reduce clips down and everything. I was like, Will, you can't be decking out on this route. And then we watched him climb, and he'd like one move shaking out, next move, shaking out. We're like, you're two, like opposite ends of the spectrum on that. Mad.
Well, that's like that's part of the big process actually I had on the 9B and King Capella, the 2 first ascents at the Capella sector, was I would like, when I was working them and like falling off near the end of them, I was like, oh, what's going wrong? And I'd like look back through the film and I'd be like, I'm like taking 1:20 to get there. I'm like, I can cut that down to a minute. It'd be like just getting it dialed. And I think at the end I did cut like King Capella down like through the hard climbing to being about sub a minute, like around that 50-55 seconds. And I think that's probably what made the difference, which is kind of ridiculous, but yeah.
You're a fast climber though. You're definitely really good at that. It's very cool. Like sometimes I think about when I'm doing a hard routes and I'm like, right, what would Will do? What pace would he climb at here? I'm like, I haven't got any time to chalk up. Screw the chalking. I won't do that. I've got
exactly.
Flick. Screw the flicking. I'll just climb faster. And it often works really well.
Yeah, it's really good. It makes me happy, that all the speed climbing I did isn't wasted.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for like that's the thing, especially on those routes with them being so short, you'd like chalking up, you just there isn't places to chalk up, so you can really focus on trying to like move as quickly and efficiently, and I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So you're back in the UK now?
Yeah.
Sunny UK, sort of.
Very grey. It's actually raining a bit, but sunny UK.
We're in Scotland. I'm in Sheffield, and it's kind of nice
here.
Which means at some point you must be coming back down to Ravensthorpe.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, like, the plan is to actually move back into Sheffield. I've been like looking at viewing places, and so get like a somewhere to rent back in Sheffield, and then mutation needs to go down. I mean, it's gone on too long.
How many sessions have you had on that now, Will?
Oh, I don't know if this is accurate, but I believe it's the same as Steve took to send it now. So I'm like, he did it in 27 sessions, and I think I've had 27 or there or thereabouts. So yeah, it's it's a lot, but it's been like spread over what 4 years or something. Just because it's always been like, oh, I could try it one day, but then I've got to go back and train for like the next comp or something, and it was always like super unfocused on it. And because it doesn't suit me as well as I'd like to think it should, I think I need to be a lot more focused for actually setting it. So hopefully in this like next half of the year, then I can actually get it done, because I'm not doing any of the Boulder World Cups through the start of the year, and I'm not too sure about the league comp. So
yeah, I feel like with that route with you, it's just like a consistency thing. If you can just not have like COVID kicking off or international season kicking off, and you can actually just put in, you know, a good period of 2-3 weeks in on the route and get some consistency, and it not be boiling hot or soaking wet through the start.
Yeah.
Happened, but you've not had the best run, to be fair, on it.
No, it's been unfortunate, but in the last year, I had a couple sessions actually, like fairly consistently, like 3 or 4 sessions maybe in like a month, and I would like got by the last 2 sessions, both of them got high points, and I got so close. I was like, I had one go where I almost stuck the last crimp, and I was like, oh, heartbreaking. So I think I can definitely do it. I know that in my head, but it's just actually finding the time to make it happen, I think.
It's impressive what Steve did, isn't it?
Yeah, super impressive. It's I mean, all of its routes are crazy hard. It's super cool.
Yeah. Okay, last question before I'll let you get back. I know you're running a 5-10 Instagram live or something like that, probably at the same time, and multitasking, doing Q&As for everyone. Last question is, what are you up to with your training over the next couple of months? What's the kind of focus?
So the focus is prepping for the Lead World Cups, but that is a lot easier than like prepping for all 3 disciplines like last year. So essentially I'll be focusing on keeping up my finger strength, and starting to build some base endurance, but at the moment just basically, you know, working on power, endurance and strength. So keeping it pretty simple, fingerboarding and board climbing.
The best.
Pretty psyched.
The best. Oh, well, cool. Well, we'll definitely catch up when you come down to Sheffield next. So I hope to see you very soon. I'm there on the belay. I want to get my 9A, let's call it 9A plus redpoint tick off you. So
yeah, I was saying, I think my girlfriend's probably got one of the most solid belay belayers now. I was trying to think, what's the hardest I still don't think I've belayed overly hard yet, which is kind of sad, but there we go.
Yeah, you're my secret weapon. If I want hard belay ticks, I'm just like, Will, do you want to belay on something? Oh, brilliant. Well, yeah, look, nice to chat to you and everything like that. And yeah, another big well done for doing all that stuff. You know,
thank you.
You know, from my perspective as well, it's really well deserved, because you put so much hard work in and such a long period of time as well now. And I know a lot of people will look at, you know, Will's just kind of like become a shining star, especially in like the last couple of years, especially across World Cups and everything like that. But I've seen the graft that you put in year after year after year. And that's what has really, you know, built you to where you are. It's not some, you know, magic trick that you just pulled out of the bag, or you've got lucky with talent or anything like that. It's freaking hard work, and it's really cool to see. So well done.
Thank you. Well, I mean, just on the last note of that, I still remember our first session that we did together, when you were like, yeah, your fingers are just really weak. And I was like, oh man. Oh man.
I know. I still get slated by people who that come back to me and go, oh, I remember my first session with you, and you just said I was really weak on this and I couldn't do it. I was like, yeah, but we had to, you know, we found a baseline, we said where we needed to be. And like I was just saying to the other day to, I think it was Steve Mack, and I was like, I remember the first session I did with Will, and you couldn't lock off on a jug on one arm. And I was thinking, guy, this guy's got a bit of work to do here. But no, it's all good. You've come good in the end.
Yeah.
Right, I will catch you up soon. And yeah, lovely to speak to you.
Good to speak to you too.
See you later,
Thanks
Will.
for that.
Bye.
See you.